So anything that is platform-based business economy or business models, if we say, are entirely reliant on machine learning for them to optimize. Welcome to another session from the innovation community of Thinkly. And I'm back, David. And we will look at a very interesting topic on how design thinking, which is also part of innovation. We have been seeing how design thinking has been working towards the driving of innovation in a large number of ways. We will look at today how innovation and design thinking and AI is getting connected. So, how does design thinking contribute to AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and likewise? And also the other aspect of how design thinking is evolving in this age of AI. And how do they both really influence each other? Does it mean that design thinking is no longer relevant as AI, machine learning evolves? Does it mean that is there certain value that AI can get from design thinking and overall vice versa? So the whole essence of today's session is to really explore how design thinking and AI really go together and really ask these questions and get answers to some of these questions on are they relevant, are they both relevant, and how do they complement each other in large number of ways. So let's begin and let me just share my screen and we will see on how exactly AI and design thinking work together, right? So as we look at design thinking, we have seen a lot of design thinking elements, but we look at how they can integrate and see integration of both of these sciences as they really merge through. So the objective of our session today essentially is to understand how design thinking can be integrated into AI, machine learning. As I use AI, it's all Gen AI, machine learning, other techniques, and other technologies which are into inward smart in large number of ways. Also exploring some of the shortcomings of AI as people adopt and implement AI into their systems. Are they all very relevant? What are the challenges that AI is facing today? Exploring ways in which we can leverage time-tested theories of design thinking to address some of these issues and look at exploring this landscape of AI design thinking as they evolve in large number of ways, and we cultivate an integration, in terms of how they both interact with each other and work together. So my name is David Isaac, been as a design thinker, innovator, and this program is also designed, co-developed and designed by my co-partner here, co-founder, co-partner here, Eshkol, and he is also innovation expert and a design thinker and also transformation associate. So as we move forward, we see that there have been a lot of signals which have been coming to us, and many of them come through science fiction and of course one the movies which really articulate some of this futuristic state. So the future is not set. There is no fate, but what we make of ourselves. So essentially, what do we do with ourselves determines our fate. So this is very famous from Terminator to Judgment Day movie, and it's so very relevant today. And as we evolve, it will still be relevant because we need to really figure out how machine learning AI can really work together. And machine learning's element has been also realized quite a lot with the industry, and they have been doing that for many number of years, even today. And it's not that it's just because ChatGPT and some of the other techniques have just evolved and moved and become famous, but a lot of the FMCGs organizations have been using LLMs, a lot of other techniques for gaining insights, consumer insights, and strategic level. But if you see machine learning, so like Morgan is from Unilever is mentioning here that machine learning's practical deployment represents the forefront of human progress, improving operations with science. So you see operations and everything that a business does is now getting very scientific and it's going to really leverage the human progress in large number of ways. But there is a challenge as we move through, and and what is the challenge? Let's see here. So as organizations are implementing AI in their systems, processes, and using it for transformational change, what they are really seeing here is that AI's returns are lower than the cost of capital, which essentially means that if an organization, and that's through an IBM study that they have done through organizations, and IBM, by the way, is very invested into AI and a lot of patents that they have filed, which are very large, even compared to Google and Microsoft and others. So AI average returns are lower than the cost of capital, which means that if they are investing something and the cost of running their business is X, the returns that they're getting through deployment of artificial intelligence is lower in a way. So and there are enough challenges that we are facing. Also, a recent paper and a webinar by MIT Sloan and a recent study which they have done along with BCG Consulting is indicating that only 10% of the companies have obtained significant financial benefits from AI. The 90% aren't seeing those kind of significant benefits which were really promised. And so here's really a food for thought because we see, and it's always evolved in history also as new technologies evolve, is we see a lot of new technologies coming in with a lot of promise. And there are elements where we see that it does not stand to its promise in large number of ways. So similar piece we are seeing right at the very beginning, and it's not that it's a technology fault, it's essentially at every beginning S curve, you will find these kind of challenges which get ironed out as we really progress. But very interesting to really see that why is this really happening? And if we look at the details, and the study really looks at also some of the reasons why AI is failing to deliver. And the top two unmet needs in terms of why it is failing or why it is not able to deliver as promised seems very interesting if you look at. So one is the business paradigm for running digital transformation projects. So the need is that we still haven't been able to connect the business essence and the digital transformation projects aligned, which are essentially run on AI based kind of technologies. So we are adopting, but it is not aligned to the business paradigm. It's not aligned to the business model. It's not aligned to the outcome and the business outcome that we are trying to really look at. The second key unmet need, which results into this kind of area, is one is the semi-technical understanding by business stakeholders. So the people behind the change, or people who lead and who really mentor and really finance the change from an AI ML perspective change, and who also work along with other technical people, do not seemingly they have this lacking of this technicalities understanding about what AI ML can really do, and it has no limiting factors. And therefore, these two key elements become one of the some of the greatest obstacles towards why we aren't able to see the benefits evolving. So the essence now is what's really going wrong and how can we really overcome? And this is a famous statement by Steve Jobs, and I think it's still very relevant today. And as we go forward, it will also be relevant in future also. Is that he mentioned that we need to start with the customer experience first and work backwards towards technology. And it's also true for AI ML. Is unless we get the customer experience, when I say the customer experience is the end experience, of course, the end consumer's experience, the various stakeholder experience, and what's the business value that they really get from the work that we are doing, and then move to the technology as an enabler. So it means that AI, ML, and other technologies which are evolving and growing faster will be only relevant and effective as we are able to connect them, these two elements, the human side and the technology side. Otherwise, we will be continuously be relevant to fail in large number of ways. So so AI essentially has large number of benefits, and some of the recent studies looking at people are concerned whether we will lose our jobs, are our current jobs relevant, And in India, especially with the IT sector being a very key generator, and the human being and human resource and human capital being one of the key drivers behind it, and the cost advantage essentially comes in because of the lower human capital cost, and that's how businesses are set up in India. And of course, as we move forward, there's a lot of value addition that our organizations have been doing to multinationals and to the global companies as well. And we have gone up the value chain overall tremendously. But nonetheless, one of the key drivers of business to be in India in large number of ways is the lower human or labor cost. Now, with AI, what really happens is a lot of these jobs are coming under strain. And the key concern is, would that AI take away my job? So some of the studies which are indicated, and of course there's a reference that we have in the slide deck also and in the presentation, which you can refer to and detail out and really understand and get back, is AI will eliminate only 7 to 10% of the jobs, but around 60% of the jobs won't disappear. They will not entirely go away, but instead the tasks within these roles will be automated. So there will be elements within what we are doing will get automated or replaced by AI, transforming the workforce. Which means that, for example, somebody is doing an underwriting task, which has certain bit of automation and other elements. So if we break it down into various elements, there will be certain elements which will get totally transformed. There will be elements which may get redundant in large number of ways, and there are elements of the job work which will get completely automated and will totally disappear. But the job itself won't disappear. So the need would be for people to design systems using AI ML and the technologies that enable people to be more effective, to be effective in their job tasks. And these, so what exactly moves off and what stays and how does it really transform becomes the key question. Because 60% of jobs are not disappearing. So for us to be relevant, it's also an individual and also the responsibility of the organization as they do the transformation to figure this out. So we look at if the prepared and adapted individuals can find opportunities in these evolving landscapes. So no need to worry as long as you are prepared and you are ready to adapt. But if we say that, I am like a software developer or application developer or project manager, and therefore these are certain job roles which remain steady. Unfortunately, it is not going to be true in future, and a lot of these elements would really transform dramatically in large number of ways. So AI won't, like Sangeet Paul Chaudhary mentioned, and is a famous think tank in terms of technology and platform, digital platform, and other books that he has written. So his view, Sangeet Paul Chaudhary's view here is AI won't take away your job, but it will take your ability to charge a premium for it. So essentially, when we say that we draw X salaries or there's a certain cost to human capital, then it comes because there is a certain kind of X activity which nobody else can do, or it's a key skill. So that premium that you charge, it will get taken away. For example, lawyers, for doctors, and people who interpret a lot of data or data analytics, data analysis people. As soon as automation really happens, the premium that is being charged for that gets really worn out because the technology itself keeps on learning by itself, and it evolves as it gets more and more of information in large number of ways. So you will see that this premium that is there is going to really move away. So in essence, if we say that AI ML is going to substitute our commoditized tasks, so any activity which is repeated, which does not add so much of value, which is not unique, which you can't really take a premium on, essentially is going to move away, right? But there will be elements which will complement, and current tasks may also change in large number of ways. As this happens, the key questions that arise, which would help us to reach our business objectives as we move forward, and organizations are looking at using AI to that extent, is what tasks we will perform using AI. So, what are those that we will augment AI with? What are those tasks, and what are those key elements of work elements that we would transform? How will AI transformation help us redefine our future of work? How does that really how do people collaborate in future or value add in future along with AI and ML methods, and in which ways AI will lead transformation, drive value for our stakeholders. So ultimately, it has to meet the stakeholder goal, like we saw earlier, the human side of it in large number of ways. So these questions become very relevant, and unfortunately, we don't have as we evolve into implementing AI, we don't have clear-cut answers for these. But these are some of the critical challenges that we are facing. And unless we really answer these challenges, we will not be able to augment the full power of AI. And of course, the power of AI is there in a lot of transformation ability in different industries. You see here in the slide here, there is automation and efficiencies where repeated tasks can come down and can get automated. You have data driven insights. So wherever you are doing data analysis and you are consumer insighting consumer patterns and very dynamic kind of models for us to really understand. AI does that beautifully. What is essentially is what are those elements which will get automated, substituted, or modified in large number of ways with this new technology? That answer is very relevant. You will see a lot of personalized experience being done because of AI, because the tool and the chatbots and the virtual assistant start learning your personal desires and the way that you communicate as an individual customer, overall consumer on the web. And that's exactly how you get serviced. And it keeps on learning. And large number of other areas also like risk management, fraud detection, a lot of algorithmic kind of elements which self-learn. There's no need for a human being to again keep on modifying triggers and learnings and other entity. But fraud, preventing fraud, identifying potential risk, these are some of the areas. Supply chain optimization, inventory management, these are very dynamic models where a lot of mathematical models exist for, and AI really helps you strengthen that further to know exactly optimize your overall cost, material cost, handling cost, and which direction so that the supply chains are optimized. And in today's world, a lot of cost is really spent on supply chain and movement of material. And even so, more relevant in life, in medical space, life sciences and healthcare, where diagnosis, R&D, drug discovery, personalized medicine is all getting transformed because of AI. Manufacturing, quality control, and of course, a lot of other natural language programming techniques, which are so very relevant, where really AI has a large number of role to play. But the key question really remains is what is that business value that you would want to provide using AI ML? What are those processes and systems which need to transform? Where exactly do you really address some of those steps, and which are the steps which will get eliminated, automated, which will get transformed in large number of ways? And only then can we leverage the power of AI as we see this. And here's exactly where design thinking comes into the picture. So if we look at design thinking, what design thinking does is inherently it is leveraging the constraints for driving innovation. So the questions on where and how and what the business value that AI can give us, organizations are increasingly looking at design thinking for them to really answer these questions because it looks at these constraints. And the constraints coming in from three elements, like we see, is are they technically feasible? Is it easier for us to do? Is there a stakeholder need? Are stakeholders needs getting addressed in large number of ways? What is the business value that something comes in? And these are the constraints within which design thinking works. So design thinking experts joining forces with tech experts and AI tech ML experts to relook at business design, business process design, and the disruptions, and coming up with new business models becomes a very potent kind of a space for people to really work on. All right. And for us to be future ready, we can only then create new jobs, new value, and new abilities to charge a premium. Otherwise, in the existing system, AI ML is going to remove that premium. And only when we redesign stuff up is when we will be able to really work through. Right. Next, what we are looking at before I go to the questions that all of you have, and please do post your questions on the chat. on the innovation community chat, and I will address some of them as we move forward. I'll just look at some of the next slides, and what we are dealing with is uh, and really exploring, and a lot of literature available in terms of how does AI energize design thinking. So one is AI transforming the design thinking method itself in large number of ways, and automating it and accelerating it and making it more effective. And the second element is, how does design thinking contribute to AI, and can it really do so, and can we really have that interface between these two sciences, helping us to answer those questions, those key questions on how do you get business value, and what are the steps, and why do we really do that automation, and how do we what are the job roles that become redundant, and which are the steps which become transformative. So it's necessary for us to understand how they complement each other. Here we are looking at how AI energizes design thinking. So in the typical in this slide, if you look at the top here, this is a typical piece of where design traditionally as a human-centered operating models, how they are operating is showcased. So you design, you make, you use, and as you use them, you get insights. So it's a more of an iterative kind of a journey where you do and learn. So you design, you make it happen. So you create the whole product or the system or the user interface, and you build up the services and let the users use it. And as they use it, you draw insights, and the insights again feed into another loop where you again design, make, and use. So it's more of an iterative and a fast-paced do and learn kind of a method. Now, what AI really does is it transforms this linear path into a very cyclical kind of an entity where AI becomes the core generating engine in large number of ways. So you have the design. So of course, the human element of design still remains. So who the stakeholders are, what are their needs, and therefore what should be the design and architecture, that remains by itself. And then you solve it, and you solve it with a particular solution in terms of your design solution that you have. And as people start using the solution that you have developed, it could be a web page, it could be a product, it could be a digital interface, it could be an app, any kind of an element that you are designing. It could be a physical product also, or a service that you have developed. As people use it, you get a lot of information that you are generating, and that information that you are generating, which is in the form of data, is then analyzed through AI systems and ML systems who really understand and are able to see the big picture. And that helps us to accelerate and give input into the next iteration of solving. Of course, AI can also help us develop new areas of solution design, which is also capable of recommending basis the past and basis the learning that it has. So this loop essentially goes in an auto loop, wherein this process of solve use is accelerated through data and AI in large number of ways. So the essence of doing field studies, of course, field studies and ethnographic studies and deep studies still will be relevant and are relevant in large number of ways. But as data moves in, the patterns and the preferences and shifts in patterns and preferences and the nuances and the personas are generated in such a manner that you have not of these insights which are auto generated. Of course, the human being needs to really figure out also what's important and not in a way, but it accelerates the design thinking journey very dramatically. Here we look at the next slide. We are looking at is the exact reverse. Is where does really design thinking really fit into machine learning or AI, right? And how does design thinking contribute to AI? So you have two flows here. So and you can look at the similarity between them is uncannily very similar. So you have the design thinking path where you empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test, which is the human-centered design that really works. And just below that is the machine learning cycle, wherein it is more of so the design is machine-centered. And there too, what you see there is an analyze, synthesize, ideate, tuning, and then validation. So you will see those phases, and you see the uncannily they are so very similar to each other. So here as we look at where all design thinking can really come. So when it comes down to breaking down the needs into each part, of course, the need can be assessed through data analysis and through AI and a lot of other techniques. But what is also essential and where DT augments is what is the business value? What is it that we want to check? What are the future states that you would want to reach? How do you envision the future? And that becomes a very critical job because the what if and the how might we and who the stakeholders are, because there are so many stakeholders, and therefore, which of those stakeholders are relevant from a business point of view, and what are those needs and jobs to be done that need to be uncovered, really help accelerate this part of analyze. The second part is in terms of synthesize, is combine separate elements in order to create a new whole. So here too, when we move in towards the ideation phase, where we are developing solutions, very strong tools like inventive thinking combined with design thinking techniques and tools. Of course, they have a lot of tools in design thinking which help you to like creative metrics and others which help you to really come up with solution designs become so very relevant because how do you really mix them up? Are there uncannily kind of similarities or leverages that we can plug in? So design thinking becomes useful there itself. And as we brainstorm and ideate and move forward, so very relevant that this element of AI tools and methods and the human thinking go together hand in hand. Uh, Especially when you are trying to look at the future state, when you are trying to understand the business value, look at human preference and look at the needs and the jobs to be done that are so very essential to a transformation piece coming in. Like for example, you're trying to automate an AI, a job that is done by, say, some of the industries where our people are engaged, and you're processing and combining some processes and other pieces. So typically, you would look at the process map and where are the bottlenecks. Now you have AI actually telling you that, but what is the future state? What's the need of the stakeholder? What are the business value? Where does it real value come from? How will the value flow? How will it get impacted? And what could be the negative effects of that? And is there a reinforcing balancing loop that exists? Will the solution create a negative issue in those? So unfortunately, AI cannot give us those answers. There's always a human being, and design thinking becomes very useful for you to really implement and get answers to and explore some of these areas. So you see here that the design thinking itself is so very embodied with the AI machine learning journey, which is used for transformation. And of course, some of the authors here in some of the research that we looked at indicates that design thinking and AI can go hand in hand here. So when you look at empathize, when you start with define, and so you empathize and define, which is essentially the left side here is more of the design thinking side, where you are focusing on the softer human side and the business side of stuff, and on the right hand side is ideate, prototype, and test. Now, these three steps can be highly automated using AI techniques, methods where prototyping can happen very fast. I would say user experience, wireframing, storyboarding, some of the other techniques which are there can be highly automated along with testing in large number of ways. And that input in fact can again feed back into your define and empathize. So you see an infinite loop gets created, but on left hand side is something on design thinking, on the right hand side is you see something on AI and machine learning enabled, and both combined together become a very powerful kind of a system for us to work with, right? And of course, it's still evolving, but my sense is, you will see a lot of areas where AI may not be able to answer certain questions, like we said earlier. And design thinking really helps us to understand those nuances and complications of AI. And we get the best benefit of what we are investing in terms of effort and time and cost with the new technologies. Otherwise, there are so many technologies which have carried so much of promise and have failed miserably over the years. And essentially not because the technology and other pieces are not relevant, or they did more harm than good in large number of ways. But it was a human mindset and the thinking and the questioning and which really lacked. So there's a lot of reading that you could really do. Also, you see some of the references here in the work that we have done. There's quite a lot of references, articles available from MIT, uh, also some of the articles here from authors who are industry stalwarts, and you can read some of these articles. Gives you a lot of perspective. Harvard Business School articles here, MIT articles, and other articles that are still exploring. And but what is necessary is that we continuously keep on asking these questions, seeing how both can work together. And my sense is design thinking becomes so very relevant in the age of AI. Not does AI contribute to accelerating design thinking, but I think more important, how design thinking can contribute to AI in large number of ways. So we are able to have a very fruitful kind of a leveraged experience with AI. So that brings us to the end. We will take some questions here. So let me read through some of the questions that we have, and as we move through, please do type in any other questions that you have as we move through. So we have a question here, Viren Chabra, are there any specific industries or sectors where AI has shown remarkable potential in design innovation? Yeah, so AI has been used, machine learning. So AI, as we see, like the Gen AI and others, we have the earlier avatar of machine learning, and that's been there for around 2 decades or so, if not more than that. But a lot of industries like FMCG industry, you look at banking, insurance, risk management firms, they have been using machine learning techniques and for data analysis, for digitization of their experiences, and the information that comes in from that really gets pumped in into larger spaces. But you see a lot of, it's not only the new business lines as we see, like we say online buying or like Magic Breaks or Airbnb and some of the other which are completely online platform based kind of. So anything that is platform based business economy or business models, if we say, are entirely reliant on machine learning for them to optimize. That's how they, for example, Blinkit and some of the other pieces which promise delivery within say 15 minutes or 20 minutes is impossible without you having certain technology pieces being fitted which guide in terms of decision making, and so these industries are very relevant and they have been practicing. What is also very interesting is, and I see that as a big threat to the Indian IT industry, IT and support services industry, GCCs and others, is there are a lot of activities which are not very technical or which are technical and repetitive. Now, those are the exact job roles which are under threat. Like we see that 6 to 8% of the jobs may vanish, but there is a large number, 60% of that which is getting transformed. So that's a huge piece up that we need to really think about. The danger is, unlike other technologies of the past, we don't have much time. So this S curve of these technologies on AI, ML, and others, it came into the limelight recently, last 2 3 years, but they have been growing nonetheless for the past 1.5 decade or so, unnoticed in large number of ways. But it has now become a threat, right? So we don't have much time to react. That's the whole problem. Okay, great. Yeah, thanks, Viren. Samir is asking the question, in your view, what are the core human skills and qualities that AI will never be able to replicate? And how can we leverage them in the future workforce? I think very relevant question, Samir. I think and what I hear AI experts also telling is the AI can only go to a certain level because it still needs to be programmed, and it starts self-learning also in large number of ways. So you have various pieces and types of AI which can do that, like a human being and other pieces. But The human skills of ingenuity, creativity, envisioning the future, designing the future state, looking at possibilities of risk that may evolve, looking at interconnections between multiple pieces, looking at and that's the key. I think many of the human discoveries and the way we seemingly are progressing are not because people are experts in their own area. The progress is happening because they find interconnections between systems and how we can use, say, medicine for uh, health, and how health will link up to the human mind thinking, and how can we convert something that we see in nature into innovation and other pieces. So there are a lot of these interconnections where machine learning cannot really and will not also be able to influence. So those are our fortresses, if I may say so, for the human being. But the pieces, will that be sufficient enough for us to protect our jobs? I don't think so, unless we have, because jobs are all linked to business value and consumer value and business value. And at the end of the day, the product and the service and the other features that you provide. Now, if those get automated, there will not be we will not require those many volume of job roles which need these kind of skills. But I see a lot of these fuzzy elements and a lot of papers also written on multiple 15, 20 skills which are relevant. And most of them, the topmost is creativity, problem solving, systems thinking, critical thinking, contradiction thinking. So it's all got to do with thinking, creativity, futures design, and likewise, those are very relevant. Zaid is asking, in your opinion, how will the concept of work and skills required for the success evolve as AI becomes more integrated in our lives? I think uh, it's a very relevant and very disturbing question, I would say. Is my sense as we see things is the work as we know today, it will change. One of the changes that will happen definitely is there will be no permanent workforce. We will all go on contract, and it is all need based. And if there's a need, then we are there. If there's no need, then there is no need for us to, the organization need not hire you at all. So the perks and other pieces that we get because we are permanent workers or permanent employees and other, I'm just saying from an employee, large employee front and other pieces also. Similar with entrepreneurs also. Entrepreneurs are also under danger because a lot of business lines which where they see value and businesses were there are no longer relevant, and it will become obsolete. For example, very similar, it happened earlier also. You had these intermediaries who are booking railway tickets and airline tickets and all. They are not to be seen today because everything is automated. Similar, as AI comes in, there will be other jobs here which are looking at legal services and contractual services and underwriting, and which we feel are relevant, and even doctors to large number of extent which we feel are relevant, they may become irrelevant in some time. So these the concept of work and skills really change because definitely each one of us has to get into the mode of seeing on how we can augment these technologies with our work. Right? That's, I think, an individual's responsibility, not the organization's responsibility. Of course, organization is doing that from their whole aspect in terms of transformation drive and keeping employees relevant, because they also know that the legacy systems will also not go away. It's not that suddenly all clients' business processes will transform. That will not happen. Legacy systems also need to be managed. But so in a phase by phase manner, things are moving. And that's what we see in the layoffs that we see in large IT firms and some of the other firms, including consultancy firms, that they are leaving people in large droves, uh, like the salami slicing. So it may not be a large chunk, but you slice it small enough so that people don't notice it in large number of ways. But it comes in the news, but it's periodic enough where you don't get alarmed. So these kind of stuff is really evolving. But I think the piece that will save us is building our strengths on creativity, on innovation, on design thinking, on critical thinking, inventive thinking techniques, which cannot be really replicated by and having some of these pieces baked in into the work that we do, along with knowledge, some basic knowledge about some way. We may not be experts on AI ML, but some basic knowledge about those areas. Those will be really, really relevant for us. In what ways can AI augment the ideation phase of design thinking to generate innovative solutions? Yes, Mira, there are a lot of AI chatbots and tools and other pieces which can generate ideas, and given a certain set of challenges that you have and a problem that you're trying to resolve, look at the solution space and provide ideas, recommendations which people have found it very useful, or being successful with it. Like in inventive thinking techniques, we use a lot of these IPs and patent search and others to really get inspired. So there are AI based platforms that really help you to, as you inquire on your challenge area, is to really go and really figure out what are the patents and other pieces available, and what could you really use for solving a challenge, which earlier was more of a manual and more of a search oriented and more of a memory based, knowledge based, creative thinking, or a table based kind of a system. This system has got fairly automated. I know there are tools on inventive thinking techniques where there are 50 principles on inventive principles, and there are sous fields, and there are patent search, and there is futures design, and the S curve. A lot of these pieces have all got automated quite a lot, and this accelerates the ideation process. But of course, the creativity and other pieces, like I said, of the futures design still gets untouched. It's still that imagination you can't really build in the system. What it will do is it will go and look at the past and how have people done that. Now, the problem with that always remains that the past isn't the future. It's like driving the car by looking at your rear mirror. You will never be able to drive it efficiently if you do that. So, but it does help you to move ahead in some way, and some of these tasks are really automated. So, but there are very powerful tools available in AI which help you do that. All right, how might AI impact the prototyping stage within the design thinking framework? Yeah, Aisha, in the prototyping phase, typically we do wireframing, storyboarding, and movement and other pieces. So in AI, there are now I know that there are systems which they're developing which are voice-based, image-based, and others. So earlier people would need to program it or develop it and script write it and others. In today's world, you can just draw the image, or you can look at certain features that you would want, and the AI tool would itself develop and program and make it really available in no time for you to be testing it. So the time and the effort and the cost that you bore when you created the prototypes have dramatically reduced in large number of ways. In fact, with and this is for the digital world, right? When or business flows or process flows as it moves through. But even in the physical world, AI combined with the machines which are able to prototype objects very fast. So, for example, you are developing some kind of a product, or say a earphone, and you have you are using AI for you to look at what are the possibilities. So the idea generation is automated in large number of ways. It can also recommend which are the best ones given the kind of constraints that you are having, and give you options in terms of what it sees to be the future. And that call can be taken by the human being for you to feed that, okay, I want to create a certain product, or what's the future of the earphone that you are wearing. And and that can be prototyped very fast using machines. So they combined with machines can give you two, three prototypes of what it would look like in the look and feel. And that makes your testing on is much easier. In the digital world, it's still faster because the testing now, as the user interface starts and the user starts using it, the data starts getting collected. And that goes immediately in terms of the cycle and the patterns and the movements and other pieces that we typically spend a lot of time trying to really uncover. This piece has got automated, right? But still the human ingenuity still remains in terms of what's important and not. Right? But you see a lot of prototyping being done through AI based kind of, or ML based kind of tools. Some of them are very exciting. They are getting into voice command based, image based, voice command based. So you can just put an image and the programming is done at the back end. So you no need for you to code, right? So you don't require people who code anything. Or So user experience professionals, UI user experience professionals, their job roles are under danger quite a lot. Coding, simple coding, the job roles are, I would say, getting redundant in some time. So if people who are hearing this and are in that field should immediately start reacting, I would recommend areas which are related in some way. Right? A couple of more questions and we'll close. Ankit, can you discuss the ethical considerations surrounding use of AI and design thinking practices? Uh, I think ethics itself is a very relative term. And of course, I'm not an expert in ethics in AI, so not really able to comment. But my personal opinion is that ethics is what was ethical 30 years back is not ethical now, or something. Ethics is also related to time. So we may go back. So we may say that we had 3,000 years back, we had the Mayans. So what was ethical? Ethical was killing of people. And that's okay. That's fine. But now it's not ethical. So ethics itself is changing through the society and what we feel is relevant. And as we take that into the pieces. So somebody may feel that AI taking away human jobs is not ethical. So creating AI systems which substitute human labor is not ethical. But I don't think as long as it is driving value and business to the customer and to the organizations and to the society at large, why shouldn't it be? It will. It will. You may try and stop it through regulation and ethical practices or ethics and under the garb of ethics. But that does not stop the progress at all. That doesn't stop the progress at all. But of course, there is a large area of ethics in AI where there are experts who deal with how do you get human ethics and the human, when we say risk assessment that the human being does, how do you get that knowledge in? But it's still far away. Those kind of studies are still in this nascent stages and still nascent. It's not that it's. So another question here: in what ways does design accelerate the scaling of design thinking initiatives within organizations? So I think, like I mentioned earlier, design thinking initiatives which you are doing within the organizations, especially if you're into, and one of the major problems, and I've seen that in organizations, is people come up with the initial design, but when they get a minimum viable product, MPVs, they want to create, or a prototype they want to create, and where they want to test it out, and where there are efforts needed, I think that's a major fix. That's a quick fix that AI can really help us in getting those things done very fast. So you'll see that a lot of this AI acceleration has happened. DT design thinking has got accelerated because we are able to do the testing, prototyping, validation in high pace through the AI. The other piece is also the data inference and others. So design thinking does not mean that we will not do data analysis. Data inferences and others are relevant and they are more than important for us to do, even when you combine the understanding the human need and the human pattern of behavior and what the people, consumers are doing and users are doing. You can actually use AI techniques for you to gather that information and understand it and then modify the services. Of course, it's a twin-edged sword. It's not that it's relevant. It's very powerful. So, and that's where the ethics come in, is that if you have this information, you can use the information to manipulate the consumer. You can use the information for you to develop services which are much better. And so that's where, like we came to the first slide, is future is essentially what we do with it, right? It's not known, it's not done already. It's what we are doing with it as you walk through, right? So great. Thank you so much for your great questions. And so we looked at today's session in terms of how design thinking, AI complement each other, how they accelerate both of their journeys, and very interesting questions that all of you have asked. And I hope I could address many of them in large number of ways. If there are any follow-up questions, please do post them on the Thinkly community. More than happy to really respond and get experts. And as we continue our journey, we look at a lot of these areas on innovation, which really help us broaden our views and be relevant in this age of AI. Thank you so much.